Why did a mom kill her disability child? Hate speech. Hello, I'm Jeffrey Dahmer. I bet you already forgot my name. Let's start with the poll from Instagram. Could you murder someone if you had to? 50% said yes, 50% said no. This is a little surprising to me. Like, I had 150 for yes and no, so I feel like I definitely have a couple murderers following me. I don't know how I feel about that, but we're gonna move on. This is a true story. It involves bullying and a suicide letter and hate crimes and a bunch of bullshit that could have been prevented but wasn't. There was a woman named Fiona Pilkinson who lived in a small village called Leicestershire Village. I'll just put it in the caption area. She lived with her daughter Frankie. Frankie had the mental capacity of a 4-year-old. Frankie was 18 years old. That seems to be a pretty hard situation, right? But it gets worse. Everybody has to go out in the world and deal with society and people. And inside you can control the setting and whatnot. The outside you can't. That's what happened to them. There would be a large gang of 16 kids who would bully and torment the mom and daughter. For hours at a time they would throw eggs and stones and bottles at the house. They would jump into her front hedge to scare them. They would even pee in her garden. They would stay around the house from 11:30 p.m. until the early hours, screaming and taunting them. You know, assholes. According to her diary, she kept the year of her death. She said, and I quote, "Sat in the dark until 2:30 a.m., stressed out." So you must be thinking, why is this happening? How did nobody help? Or where is the police? Anybody! That's where it gets worse. The neighbors and towns were too afraid to stand up, or they would get tormented too. This gang had 16 kids, so like they needed someone bigger and badder to compete and bully them, right? Oh, I know, the police. Spoiler, the police did nothing. In the 7 years of them being tormented in their own home, Fiona called the police 33 times. 33 times? That's a whole lot. The police never linked the calls or were prioritized. She even petitioned members of parliament twice and nothing. For United States folks, it is part of the government. They were just never taken seriously. If somebody sat down and wrote a letter, then I feel like it's a big deal. In a well-publicized report, the Independent Police Complaint Commission found that the Leicestershire police had repeatedly missed opportunities to identify the Pilkinsons as vulnerable, failing to link individual reports of antisocial behavior as part of a wider campaign of harassment. In Fiona's final year of life, she called the police about harassment and they told her to ignore it. 9 months later, she took Frankie in a car and drove to a secluded place. Fiona took her pet rabbit to calm Frankie. She doused herself and daughter with petrol, also the back seat, and set it ablaze. They were burned beyond recognition. What a horrible way to go. In her suicide note to her mother, she wrote, "The street kids, well, I have just given up. I am just not cut out to take this much harassment." She must have suffered so much that burning herself alive to end was better than dealing with what she was dealing with. Well, now my personal opinion on stuff. I promote light to medium bullying. I think it's important to give people thicker skin. The world is tough, so you need tougher skin. I don't like it, but it's reality. Disability people should 100% be made fun of. Oh, we shouldn't? What do disability people say? We want to be treated equally. Well, being made fun of is being equal. Oh, you don't want to be made fun of? Then that's fine. That's not equality. You just want the things that benefit you. There's also a line, like if they are unable to defend themselves, then you should back off. I have a sixth sense of humor. Like, go make fun of mentally challenged people. They can't fight back. They wouldn't even know what's happening. There is a line when you're making fun of somebody individually, directly, instead of a whole. Also, intentions are important. Am I being funny or trying to inflict harm? I think we can all answer the same way. And if you're offended, then that's fine too. Inflicting physical harm and taking advantage is extremely shitty human behavior. Their life is already hard. Don't make it 10 times worse. We gotta talk about the negligence of the police not doing anything. Like 33 times is a shitload of times. I'm sure people call for dumb shit and negligence, but maybe after 5 times they're like, hey, let's do some sort of investigation. I think this ties into the disability. Disability help needs aren't taken seriously. Harassment aren't taken seriously. It is the same with women issues. We are very, if you have a problem, go and solve it yourself or just deal with it. For example, if a woman is walking alone, she'll have a weapon or a knife instead of calling the police or another guy to accompany her. Many disability people can't help themselves and don't really understand what's happening. Even the ones who are mentally there sometimes have difficulties because they are constantly catered to. Then after 18, all the support goes away. Getting help is a lot of work and tiring and stressful. It's also luck-based. If you don't know if a service exists, then you will just struggle. Really a lot. Or luck is involved with a disability person. Most disabled people are great when the parents put a lot of effort for them. They need the protection of an able-bodied person. That's reality. The best disability advocate is an able-bodied person. The disabled person will have the experience, but a regular person will be listened to more. Look at special books by special kids. Chris isn't disabled and he is one of the best and most viewed advocates on the planet. He has helped advocate, but also raised a ton of money for people in need. He's definitely going to heaven. This ties into my last point. I say all disability kids should be aborted / not resuscitated. Life is so freaking hard for an average person. Imagine for a person with any kind of disability. There are people out there who are killing it, but that is a smaller percentage. Think of all the ones who don't have followings, who don't have any support, the ones you don't see, the ones who don't report, the ones who can't, the ones who are put into homes. People can shout out from the rooftops. You sitting at home or wherever is already dealing with a lot of shit. It is hard to care for everybody. For Fiona and Frankie, it has a horrible ending. She is one story. There are thousands. We cannot help anyone. Fiona killed her because no one could protect her and manage her care, so she ended this to save her from suffering. That is why I say abortion to get rid of the problem for the child and the parent. Fiona was probably a hell of a mother, but love gets so toxic that her whole life revolved around her, and she was isolated. Life deserves to be appreciated, not burdened, and give effort to somebody who doesn't fully understand what's happening. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the morning.